I would self-identify as a very huge geek.
Nintendo 64, you know, like, it was my first console.
I am a writer.
I am a graphic designer.
I'm a professional concept artist.
I told a friend that I wanted to go to hacker school.
I like to describe myself as the quintessential gamer geek.
I wanted to be a rock star, literally.
Meritocracy is a fascinating subject in that most of the people who believe strongly in a meritocracy are starting from a position of fairly substantial privilege.
The deck is stacked in such ways that the same types of people are going to be rising to the top. It's not a true meritocracy, and I think it's hard to get people to realize that, because if they have had success, you're now saying that it wasn't just because of whatever they did.
My perception through the years has been that, I mean, seriously, if you look around you in the field, you see a lot of men, not very many women, which is another reason at that time I was pretty persistent about wanting to pursue this for myself, because at that time I was female. And I just wanted to prove something to everybody, but I think I've seen and I've talked to my friend through the years. I've heard her own personal stories about being passed up for certain promotions and certain things. You know, Joe Brown got promoted and got this spot that I deserve. He's only been here for 3 or 4 months and he's getting the spot that I've been pursuing, and I can't help but think. I think there's an issue there.
I think it's just a very strong cultural thing. You know, I think as a culture we're very used to a binary gender system. You know, there's the boys in blue and girls in pink kind of mentality. I say I don't think it's malicious, I don't think it's anything conspiratorial, but I think it's very hard to undo. It's something that we're not really taught in schools. It gets handed down from generation to generation.
Working with engineers nowadays, these are old guys. They are going to be coming to me with all kinds of baggage from when they grew up. It's never that easy at first. The first 6 months I went back to the process control job was absolute hell. I was thinking about quitting, just because it was so. There was this complete oppressive atmosphere of what are you, what happened to you, how are we supposed to deal with you, where's your place in this organization. You get dear a lot, you get that's nice dear.
To tell the truth, in the tech world, the imperative that I was to transition in the workplace had me walked out the door. I'd already legally changed my name. I'd been, full-time except for work for a long time. And they just walked me out the door. That's all. It was that simple.
It was that I had gotten to a point in my life that I knew that eventually I needed to do something. And as I like to say to people, I'd sort of gotten into my head for a while that if I could just hold on until I died, it would be okay. The problem is I wasn't dying fast enough.
One of the advantages I had as a games master as opposed to a player is that I could play lots of female characters without it looking at all unusual.
I think that had I been born male and transitioned to female, unfortunately, I think it would have been more difficult. It's unfortunate, and I don't understand, but it seems to be the case.
The publishing industry in general is run by straight white dudes. Well, actually, a lot of the editors are straight white women, and a few queer white women as well, which is kind of nice. But, there's the senior management, obviously, straight white dudes, and there is the inevitable, we can't publish this, it's too controversial, we can't publish this, the bookstores wouldn't put it on the shelves, we can't put a person of colour on the cover because white people won't buy it, etc., etc., etc. The fact that we have online publishing, the fact that we have fan fiction, gives all of these people an outlet for their fiction, and if they are really good, they get noticed. And as a consequence, they get a reputation, they get a following, and that makes it much easier to take their work then to a publisher and say, look, this person is already popular, this person already has a fan base. There are people that will buy books.
A lot of things I think about our community, we're misrepresented a lot because we don't have necessarily control over what we produce. And so Trans H4ck is about that, right? We're trans people and allies making things for our community to make our lives better.
I got the idea to launch the Hackathon speaker series because I am a self-identified nerd, really into technology. When I got my first computer at 15 years old, I discovered the internet and fell in love ever since and taught myself web design. Started to do basic programming, but I've just really been so involved in tech in my artistic career that I thought it would be a really great idea to blend trans advocacy with the hackathon collaborative model of working together, spending time in a room together, kind of having to talk to new people and discovering new things about yourself and new conversations that I think with people who many probably wouldn't even interact with before because we're of different races, different ages, different geographical locations, people come together. So I just thought it would be a great idea to bring that to the trans community because we don't really have a lot of spaces like that.
And the hackathon model was great because not only can we sit and collaborate, but we can actually make products that are useful to our lives, right?
The idea that people, only heteronormative people, seem to be making design and speaking to that, it doesn't allow kind of like values that come in from our own lives. So in queerness, there's ambiguity and identity. And so the idea of ambiguity and something that's supposed to be solid seems to not be really present in game design right now. Everything is very quantitative, everything is very, you know, for sure, you save the day, you do whatever. And there's a lot of kind of that dominant narrative in there that really isn't engaging all, you know, kind of anything past this dominant narrative.
I've seen a lot of games, like it's always that like a straight white cisgender guy with like a little bit of stubble again, like the Space Marine, or if it's like a JRPG, he'll have like a little bit of brown hair that's messy. And that guy is in everything, and I have nothing against that guy, but I'm just bored of him. He's in every single story, and I've seen his story play out 1,000 times, and every time I go to a movie, he's the protagonist. Like half the games I play, he's the protagonist, and his story's been told. I want to see stories of somebody else.
Yeah, MMORPGs was really where I suppose I, as Kate, was born. I started getting more and more friends. I was able to be more of an extrovert. And yeah, it was actually there that I met some people who were like me for the first time. And I started to actually understand that, you know, that there was this idea of gender and sexuality being separate, and that, you know, I didn't need to be desperately ashamed, which is how I'd grown up. You know, I was just desperately ashamed of this just desire to be female. And yeah, that really kind of gave me the nudge to go and start exploring. And then I found that actually, you know, it wasn't my mind that was wrong, it was my body.
I love playing with gender, the idea of gender, because I think it's very fluid. And like everybody comes as Mario, but there are no guys who want to come as Princess Peach. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it first. Here it is.
Sometimes what I've seen happen is friends that I know have done crossplays and then been pleased with the results and find themselves very pleased when someone mistakes them as a boy or something like that, and then realised through experiencing what it's like that this is something they want to do more permanently, and then they sort of move on from using male pronouns and that kind of thing. Because I think in the media, transition is portrayed as a big snap decision. You know, it's just like that. And one day I wore a frock and that was it. You know, but it's really more of a slow learning of yourself over time, and picking and choosing little bits to do with your gender and how you see yourselves, and coming to some form of conclusion at the end of it.
So the solution is to make sure that everyone is making games of all identities, all backgrounds, all whatever. That the barriers to entry to making games isn't just reserved for that, dominant identity. So ultimately that needs to happen on the corporate level, that needs to happen in indies, that needs to happen on a wide scale in our society. It's just basically more different people making games. And those video games don't just have to be ones made with expensive tools and large teams. So basically you can be making analog games, and those don't require much materials, but they do require a sense of design and expression. And then we have kind of some design tools that are for digital games that are cheaper, that don't require programming, because programming is walled off from a lot of minorities. So it gets getting down both the tools and the idea that you must make a game a certain way.
People who are aware and want an institutional kind of change have to really support the ones who are doing it from the bottom up, the grassroots individuals. And I know that's not the only solution, but I think that that's a really important solution, or just a stronger path that we need to march down and support.